What is up, guys? It's your boy Rick. PvE is for me, Cactus, and today we gotta venture into PvP because Trials of Osiris is back for the first time within Season of the Lost. It offers a completely overhauled reward structure, it's a lot easier to get Trials loot than ever before, and a brand new weapon, the Reed's Regret Legendary Linear Fusion Rifle. And this just might be the best legendary linear fusion rifle in the entire game right now. So let's take a closer look at it and talk about what you should be looking for in terms of PvP and PvE god rolls. And keep in mind, you're going to have a pretty reasonable chance to go after the god roll of this weapon because now, when you rank up your Trials rank, you can focus that Trials engram and specifically get the Reed's Regret over and over again until you achieve that god roll. Now, first things first, let's take a look at its stats. So, this belongs to the Precision Frame 533 Charge Time archetype. This is extremely common. It's exactly the same as the Threaded Needle, which is kind of currently considered the best legendary linear, and its stats are pretty darn average for its archetype. But moving on to the perks, however, this is where things get really interesting. So starting us off, we have a pretty normal assortment of barrels. Keep in mind, on a linear fusion rifle, these aren't really going to matter too much. Like, do you really need stability on a linear? Not necessarily. So range is important, but again, I wouldn't stress too much over that. Moving on from there, however, we have the different batteries, and these matter quite a bit. So accelerated coils to increase the charge time, enhanced battery, and ionized battery to give you magazine size increases, liquid coils to just straight increase the impact. It does say slower charge time, but actually with an update just this season, it doesn't lower the charge time anymore. And then we've got increases to range and stability. Moving on from there, however, we have the first main perk slot, and we start things off with Surplus. So mainly you'd be using this for an improvement to handling and potentially reload speed for PvE, but not too incredible. Heating up for a huge increase to accuracy and stability after a kill, but again, you don't really need recoil control with a linear. Quick draw could be good, especially in PvP, to draw the weapon faster. Killing Wind, boosting mobility and range and handling after getting a kill. Hipfire Grip could be spicy if you want to hipfire this weapon. Clown Cartridge offering a massive magazine size increase for reloading. And then Triple Tap. Guys, this is actually the first time ever a linear fusion rifle has had access to Triple Tap, which is going to return one round to the magazine after landing 3 precision hits. So moving on from there, however, we need to talk about the second perk column. We start things off with Celerity, which is going to increase the handling and reload speed at a base level, but it's also going to give you benefits like target acquisition and so on, reduce flinch when you're the last living member of your fire team. So honestly, the static increase to reload speed is not terrible. Then we do have Headstone. Remember, this is a stasis weapon, where precision final blows spawn a stasis crystal, and certainly with a really powerful linear, that's going to be pretty easy to trigger. Moving on from there, we have Rampage for damage bonuses after kills. We actually have Firing Line, which is going to increase your precision damage when near 2 or more allies, a PvE all-star that we haven't seen in basically a year. And then we've got Adagio. This is a new one where after defeating a target, the weapon is going to slow its rate of fire but increase its damage for a brief time. We've got Vorpal Weapon, which is going to give you more damage against bosses and vehicles and guardians in their super. And lastly, we have Harmony, where if you deal a final blow with another weapon and then switch this weapon, it's going to get a damage increase. Okay, so let's talk about the PvP god roll. Quite frankly, I don't like linears in PvP. I rather use something like a rocket launcher where it's a lot easier to get your kill. But if you do specifically like linears, I think you're probably going for something like Accelerated to get your shot off faster. Remember, you got to aim for the head anyways. and then something like, quick draw, or potentially even killing wind, or maybe even hip fire grip, and I would consider surplus, all just kind of improving the handling, the snappiness of this weapon. And then I would be going for, you could honestly go for headstone if you're specifically running stasis and you want to be spawning as many crystals as possible, but frankly something like rampage is always going to be decent. And honestly, Adagio is going to kind of act similarly to Rampage. Reducing the rate of fire and or charge time is definitely a downside, but boosting the damage is a positive. And Harmony is another one to consider. Get a kill with your shotgun or your primary, switch to your weapon, it's already going to have a damage bonus. But again, I really don't think PvP is where this thing shines. In PvE, however, this thing is a monster, and I seriously think this might be the new best legendary linear fusion rifle in the entire game. Right now, the Threaded Needle is seeing a ton of play, mainly because the Particle Deconstruction seasonal artifact mod is making all fusions and linear fusions cracked out of their minds in terms of damage output. So this now being the best one potentially, this is a must farm for PvE players. Here's what I think is the utter god roll. So in terms of battery, you're kind of going for two things. Either liquid coils for more impact, or specifically you might want ionized battery, and we'll get to why in a sec. Then in the first column, I think you're really going for two things. Either clown cartridge for that big boost to your magazine size after reloading, or triple tap. Again, this is the first time this has ever happened, so I think that means you should be going after triple tap. And the reason I mentioned ionized is specifically because of triple tap. The magic numbers here, guys, are 5 and 7. That's when triple tap is going to trigger another time. So if you have 3 rounds or 4 rounds, you're only going to trigger triple tap once. With 5 rounds, which is the base magazine, you're going to trigger triple tap twice. You get 2 extra bullets. And then with specifically ionized battery, because it gives you plus 40 to your magazine size, you go up to 7, and therefore you're going to trigger triple tap 3 times, which is 10 total shots in a row, 3 of them coming out of thin air from triple tap and not using up your ammo. That is a huge amount of damage without ever needing to reload. Again, the alternative option is going for liquid coils for more damage and then just living with a 5-round magazine. That's going to give you more burst DPS. Either one is fantastic. Then in that second slot, you really have 2 main choices here. Well, frankly, 3. I think you could potentially go for headstone if you really do want to make like a stasis build. Again, you really want those crystals, but I think you're really going for either firing line here, where it's going to deal a 20% precision damage bonus when you're near allies. Absolutely incredible when you're already bunching up for something like a raid boss DPS phase. Everyone's in a well, firing line is going to be triggering here, and it's actually going to do more damage than the other alternative, which is Vorpal Weapon. Make no mistake, Vorpal Weapon providing a 15% damage boost against bosses is incredible. It's super consistent. It might be better in something like a Grandmaster because if one teammate dies, firing line won't trigger. But if you want the max damage roll, again, it's going to be either liquid or ionized plus triple tap and then firing line. However, that combination plus Vorpal, I wouldn't be sad about that whatsoever. Either roll is fantastic, and either roll is going to be putting out an insane amount of damage, especially if you do get those 7 rounds. Looking to the Threaded Needle, the best it can get is Vorpal. So because of firing line, this is capable of touching even higher damage numbers, but especially if you are again shooting 10 rounds in a row without ever needing to reload, we're talking about an incredible amount of sustained DPS that is going to surpass something like the Threaded Needle. It will need to reload. The best it can get is rapid hit to just speed up that reload. And so guys, that is it for the video. Those are the god rolls. I hope you enjoyed, found this informative, and if you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.